Well, if you watched one of my last videos when I built these raised beds in here, I was wondering whether or not the man that runs the local garden center would order me in some more of this potting mix that I like to use in my beds and some more bags of sheep manure. Well, he did. I've just come from picking them up. I have 8 large bags of the potting mix and 20 bags of the composted sheep manure. I'm just about to put the potting mix in, but I haven't shown you really in any detail of what's happening in the hoopos, so I thought first I would do a little tour of some of the things that are going on in here. In the last video I also showed you where some of the broccoli is starting to head up. Well, they're still relatively small, only 2 or 3 inches across the heads, but they're continuing to grow. I don't believe we've had a second frost. I've been covering things every night out here for the last 3 nights with some spun bonded row cover and an old bed sheet covering over the stronger plants just in case we had frost, but I don't believe we've had any yet. However, I think tonight's probably going to be the night. This is the 28th, Friday the 28th of October, and it's mid-afternoon. Temperature hasn't got up to 5 degrees all day, and it's partially overcast, so I think we're probably going to see a heavy frost tonight. I guess I've said before there are several varieties of cabbage, and I don't know the varieties. They're in a packet of seeds just called All Seasons cabbages, several different varieties to grow at various times in the season, maturing, but they are doing very well. The heads aren't very big, maybe 4 inches across, but they're getting quite firm, so I'm going to get some cabbage out of it. It probably doesn't show very well because they're still quite small, but I cut the tops off of the Brussels sprouts a week ago, and since then they have started to develop small sprouts. And when I say small sprouts, I mean small sprouts. They're probably less than ½ inch across, so I don't know what's going to happen with them. I'm a little bit skeptical, I guess, but I'll let them continue growing as long as they will anyway. The Swiss chard has done very well, and I've had some of it 2 or 3 times for meals. There's very few plants, so I get a small portion each time I pick it, but I'm tempted to pick all the large leaves this afternoon. If we get the hard frost I think we're going to get tonight, they'll be damaged. I'll leave the very smallest leaves and cover it up, and hopefully a few warmer days and they'll grow some yet. Most of the kohlrabi don't seem to be forming I don't know what you call it, a bulb or a head or whatever. I've never grown them before, but that one there does have a nice little round thing growing. It's probably a couple inches across, and the leaves haven't been bothered yet, so it should continue to grow for a while. I think that's most everything of interest in here. The lettuce is finishing up, and I don't think the beets are going to amount to too much. Maybe I should take the beet greens tonight along with the chard. But anyway, I'll show you the beds once I've finished putting the soil and the manure in them. There's the potting mix spread and the bags of sheep manure compost laid out, ready to be spread. I like to put them sort of in mounds on top, and then take a garden rake and smooth it out. After I've sort of got it evenly distributed, I work it in some with a garden spade. It looks like a lot of compost, I realize, but I still say you can never use too much compost. To give you an idea of what the weather is like here today, temperature hasn't changed any really since the last little bit that I filmed here, but I was emptying out some of the bags of potting mix and heard things hitting the roof of the hoopos, so I went outside to take a look, and sure enough we were having a snow flurry. Nothing that stayed on the ground. It's too early for that. If we did get anything that stayed on the ground, it would only last for 24 hours or so. We never have snow that lasts on the ground much before December, but gives you an idea of how the weather is changing here anyway. Well, that's everything in the beds and the composted manure mixed in. I have 3 bags left over, and that's always good. I can make use of that first thing in the spring. What I'm going to do right now is these 2 bulb pans and 2, I guess, 6-inch square pots. I have difficulty finding bulb pans. Bulb pans means that it's a wide pot that's a lot shallower than it is wide, and you use them for forcing bulbs. About a month ago I found a deal, I don't know, Canadian Tire or Walmart or somewhere, on tulip bulbs, a package of a variety of different kinds of tulips in one package. I think it was 20 bulbs for a few dollars. So anyway, I bought them, brought them home, and potted them up in these 4 pots, and they've been under the bench out here in the hoop house ever since, waiting for this bed to get ready, because I'm going to sink them in level with the top of the pots, and hopefully they'll be up and in bloom maybe in March. We'll see. Anyway, where this fig tree is sitting right here, once it loses its leaves and goes in the house, I will be bringing out a little, well, it's already outdoors, but I'll be bringing inside here a little patio table and a couple of chairs, plastic table and chairs. I'm still convinced that sometime in January or February, on a cold sunny winter's day, it'll be quite pleasant in here. The sun has come out now, and it's very pleasant in here. I've taken my jacket off. It's lovely, but I don't suppose it to be as warm in the winter, but I want to come out, sit here, have a cup of tea, and maybe look at tulip blossoms. Anyway, talking about the fig trees, I have 2 of them. I won't bother to show you the other one. It's behind me. The variety is Celeste, and I've been doing some research today on the internet. I've been told by various people that with protection I can bring it through the winter, so I'm going to give it a try. This one's going in the basement, same as always. As soon as it goes dormant and the leaves fall off, and that is sort of starting to happen. You can see right in there that some of the leaves are getting brown, so they would have been off long before this if it had been outside the hoop house, but in here the warmer temperatures kept it alive longer. Anyway, that one's going to go in the house. The other one, which is just as large and is in a pot just like this one's in, a big tall pot. Looks like terracotta, but it isn't, it's plastic. I'm going to take it out of the pot, dig into the soil here in the corner of the hoop house, and plant it in the ground. Because according to what I've been reading, it may make it through the winter anyway, especially being protected in here where it'll be, well, no warmer in the night, but warmer every day when the sun shines. But if it doesn't make it through the winter, from what I've been reading, it should send up new branches from the roots, provided the roots aren't killed. If they're in the soil, they shouldn't be killed. And the Celeste variety will even produce fruit on first year's wood, so if it should completely die back, the new shoots coming up from the ground should still produce a few figs for me. Time will tell. That's what I'm going to try anyway. And next, what I'm going to do, as soon as I get the tulips in the ground here, I have changed my mind once again on where my garlic's going. I think this is the 3rd location. I was going to put it in one of the square-foot garden beds like it was in for the past 2 years, and then after, if you saw my previous video on the Lazy Man's garden bed, I was going to put it in there. But as I've been preparing these beds in here, I've been thinking about it. Last year, the winter 2009-2010, that spring 2010 and that summer, I grew the best garlic I've ever grown. And I believe it was because we had an incredibly mild winter here. I chose that year to spend most of the winter in southern France, where they had a record cold winter for them. I was just a few kilometers from the Mediterranean, and most mornings there would be ice in the town fountains and whatever. Anyway, back here I kept checking the temperature, and it was degrees warmer here than it was in southern France. When I came home in mid-April, my garlic in the garden was already about 6 inches tall. There hadn't been any snow cover hardly, and the warm early spring weather had brought it up and it was growing. Well, the only thing different this year is my garlic didn't come out of the ground until probably around mid-May. It grew beautiful plants afterwards, nice tops, went into scapes, and I enjoyed eating the scapes, and then I pulled the garlic this fall, and I got garlic out of it, but the heads are nowhere near as large as they were the year before. So the only difference that I can see, they were planted in the same rich kind of soil with lots of compost and everything, was the fact that they came up so much earlier the year previous. So I'm going to plant them in here in this long narrow bed, and that should bring them up really early in the year, and we will see whether I get decent garlic out of it. Time will tell. It's going to be close to the wall there, which I'm sure the garlic tops will be brushing up against the plastic, but that won't hurt anything. So anyway, I have finally decided where the garlic's going. I'm going to get it in the ground before I change my mind again. Now, before I put the garlic in, I talk about something that isn't here. You remember the tall capsicum, one that I don't know the name of the variety, didn't produce anything this year. It started to bloom late, and I never did successfully get it to set fruit. Well, there was 3 plants in the pot. I cut one down and separated it out and repotted it, put it in the house in front of my glass garden door, along with one of the black pearl chili peppers. I didn't have to cut that down. It was in a decent size pot already, and it's in front of the garden door, and they're both doing very well. I follow a number of gardeners in Australia, and they've been showing footage of their capsicums starting to leaf out again, and evidently what theirs do is they go dormant. The leaves fall off, and I don't think they take them in even. I think they're just left outside, and in the spring they start growing new leaves. So I'm thinking about that, and the 2 that I was going to sacrifice and just leave out here, the other black pearl chili and the 2 big capsicums in the pot, I've put them in my basement. They still have their foliage and everything now, but I'll water them occasionally, but I think they'll probably go dormant and lose most of their foliage. And I'll bring them back out in the spring and see what happens. I guess nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I think that'll probably work. I've been looking at them quite closely, and you can see little buds that I presume are the buds that would open up next year with new foliage, so I may not lose any of them. The other ones are in the house anyway. And now to get the garlic in the ground. There's the garlic all spaced out and ready to be pushed down 3 or 4 inches into the soil. I plant 2 varieties, don't know the name of either one of them anymore. They're both hardneck varieties. One has very large cloves and only 4 cloves to the head. It wasn't marketed as an elephant garlic, but reminds me of it. I like it very much. It's a milder flavored garlic, very nice. And the other, as I said, is another hardneck variety and has 7 or 8 cloves to the head, smaller cloves. Anyway, altogether I have 50 cloves that I've planted, so if I get 50 heads of garlic, that's enough for me, plus enough for me to save to replant another year. And this summer I had let a couple of the garlic scapes continue to mature and to form little bulbils. I saved those, and I've placed those in here, there, and everywhere as well, just to see what happens. Well, that concludes my videoing here for today. I won't finish this clip off and put it on YouTube until probably the 1st of November or so that I can show you what happens in here after a few cool nights. I'm going to cover everything over again tonight, but unfortunately I'm leaving to go away for the day tomorrow, and I will be leaving before daylight, and when I get back tomorrow night it will be after dark, so I won't get to see myself what happens in here tomorrow. But I will check it out and finish the video off early next week and post it. Well, we did get the cold weather that I was predicting. It's now Halloween, October the 31st. We had rain and snow. No snow that stayed on the ground here, but not too far away from here they've got snow on the ground. And this wheelbarrow outside the hoop house here, half filled with water, and last night solid ice. Just a taste of what's to come, I guess. Give you a little idea of what things looked like in the bed when I covered them up. It's still quite chilly, but it's above freezing. I'll check the thermometers in a few minutes and see what the temperature is, but I'm about to take these coverings off and give the plants some sun for the day and determine whether or not there was any serious damage done last night. The fig trees still look good. Well, there doesn't appear to have been any serious damage. At least things are still looking pretty good this morning. According to the Mini-Max thermometer, it went down to about -1 in here last night, so under the coverings, I guess that must have been enough to keep things still alive anyway. I'll leave the coverings off until late afternoon. By then, if there's been any frost damage, I should be able to pick it out, but looks like things survived one of the cold nights, and now according to the long-range forecast, we're in for a sunny week, and it's not due to go down below 0 again. for the rest of the week, right through till next Sunday, according to the long-range forecast. But be down very cold, close to zero most nights, so I'll still cover everything up. But I guess there shouldn't be any more ice or frost for another week or so. Well, to close this off, I've come out to the north side of the hoop house, and I find some snow down at the base here, and that's sort of an encouraging sign. The hoop house is doing what I was told that it would do, and I was, I guess, a bit skeptical about that because of the sort of dome shape. The snow that accumulated on it yesterday just slid down the sides and accumulated at the base so that there isn't any weight of snow on the roof. So that worked really quite well. And that closes this little video off. I'll show you some more later on in the month, and I'm sure things will start to really disappear in the hoop house.